And action.
Action. Audio sync in 3, 2, 1.
Audio sync in 3, 2, 1. Well, speaking of, I'm still.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
Audacity's still recording.
that's amazing, Stuart. That is
Should I
absolutely.
stop that?
Yes, you should. But now you are synced.
48 minutes. That's good. Should I save it?
I mean, yeah, yeah. That could be a funny blooper. Yeah. Oh, God. I'll listen to our audio, see if it works.
Hey guys. Hey guys, how you doing? We just had an adventure, but that's okay. No, I'm not gonna record. Just save that. All right, cool. All right, so hey guys, welcome back. It is time. Well, he's checking audio. It's time for us to talk about a topic that involves Star Trek and this.
Star Trek.
So we're gonna do that.
What's Star Trek?
Heard of it?
What?
What is it? It's
Do you mean Star Wars?
that's the one.
Star destruction of the universe in the Beta Antares quadrant. That's destruction of the universe in the Beta.
Oh well, I guess the audio's good. I guess Admiral Telex says, "Speak up, Captain." How loud would you like it? I mean, he's checking the audio levels right now because Skype and OBS don't always get along. They're Admiral Telex. So hopefully I blew out everybody's speakers on that last one, just because that's the way it should be. You guys are backwards on audio. Cap quiet, Commander loud. Captain, says Chris. There it is. What's up, Captain Foley? Hey, Daniel's Hot Topics. How's it going? If it's too loud, you're too old. Now it's up. All right. Skype doesn't get along with anything, not even itself. Yeah, Skype is a bit of a pain in the ass. And we've been having issues with the lives. Every time we go into OBS and Skype, even though the settings haven't been changed, OBS.
I mean, to be fair, it might be confused because we do it so often and then it keeps turning on and off. You know, if you do 5 lives a week and 1 out of every 7 is completely broken. I mean, that's a lot of hours we spend doing this. So I'm not going to complain.
Alex says, "What about using Discord?" No, because I don't like Discord. Discord's a piece of shit.
And I've used Zoom before. It actually uses a better video, but you have to pay for it, and I mean the noticeable difference is minimal. It's only for people like me who are like, ooh, the quality. I mean, the most notable difference is if I up the kilobyte. Actually, I did notice a difference. And when I eventually get a new place with wide internet, I can just plug right in. You guys will see, presumably, I can bump up the bit rate. I mean, double it probably, and then you'll be like, wow, that's crisp.
I can't wait till we get fiber into here, so my internet is like perfect again.
Yeah, because my signal's limited by just the out streaming, but you're being streamed into my computer and then out again, so Stuart's will always be less. And obviously, we'd love to be able to use Stuart's audio from his proper microphone, but the fact is, all I can hear is his Skype audio, which can only be as good as Skype lets him be. I'm assuming if you got better internet, it might up the quality of that, maybe, like be less compressed. But I don't know. That's why we love doing the edited videos, because that is what we should sound like. And just like, that's where the whatever's. Right, so bumped up the bit rate. Now at 3400, and it's green so far. So that's
all right. Cool.
Pretty good.
We got
Hi,
some
Stuart.
super chats to start.
Excellent. Hi.
Do we want to announce what we're talking about first, or just get into the super chats?
Yeah. What are we talking about? What's next for Jurati and the crew? Because they're on a different journey to Picard, in essence. Even if they're converges, there's more to the story.
Yeah, because we got one that's a murderer that's now in a coma. So even if she gets out of the coma, she's still responsible for a murder. We got another one that's a druggie, with kid issues, and we got another one who don't really know a lot about. So, But anyway, Judge 1981 puts in $2. Supercharged super chats are needed. Dun, dun, dun. Yes, please super chat if you're able to. Helps us out, and you can contribute to the conversation. Fat Produce puts in $5. I think I have the virus. I can feel myself about to press the wrong button on the airlock. Boom, whoosh. Hashtag blown out. Hashtag tasteless joke. What virus? Coronavirus? I don't think that'll make you push an airlock button. Fat Produce $2. I use StreamYards for my co-streams and love it. Yes, StreamYards is good, but I find that people are always over talking each other if they're just like having a hangout, which kind of bothers me. But I'm really impressed with StreamYards actually. I'm thinking about actually purchasing it for just kind of hanging out.
Although, should we sue them because StreamYard's totally
Yep.
a link.
I was just about to make that joke, and I've made it before on other streams.
What joke would you have made? I made my one. What would your one have been?
I was going to say I'm considering suing them actually because StreamYards, Trekyards, Fleet Yards. Wow, guys! Wow, you can see who inspired them. So we should get some of that. We should get it for free, I think, instead of having to pay for it, at least. But anyway, Fat Produce though throws another $2. What's next for the crew? The audience not caring.
Wow.
I don't know about that.
I mean, it's
I don't understand these people. I don't understand these people that are like, I'm not watching Picard because I didn't like it. It's like, well, okay, I understand not paying for the service, but if you had a way to watch it, why wouldn't you watch it? I don't understand the mindset.
It's like we all sat through the lesser good episodes of any given show. As Enterprise was airing, as Voyager was airing, you guys for TNG and such. I mean, there are duds in every season. You still watch them. Obviously, I guess at that point you expect every episode could be variable, whereas in this show, especially the first 3 to 4, it's the one long story, which means if you're not invested in it by part 2, you're like, well, we hope something happens by part 3. Oh, by part 4? Oh, by part 5? Oh. Whereas the last 2 have been distinct stories, which have led them to be a bit stronger because you can follow them and you can enjoy them. Like, we always say that reviewing these things is important in the wider context of the episode itself, but also the scenes themselves. Because sometimes, as you said, that moment when Seven and Picard say, do you ever get over it fully? That moment is a top tier moment. But maybe in an episode that people don't like. So you can review all these things very variably, and so you can watch the show just for the best moments. I mean, there's still some great moments in Discovery season 1 and 2, it's Trek. You shouldn't not watch it, even if it's on Blu-ray, a while later, or DVD.
Judge, 1981 puts in backyards. Kevin Tipcorn, graveyards. I guess we got a lot of people to sue, Samuel. I guess they should be suing us. Farmyards, says Voice of Reason. Dockyards. Anyway, Fat Produce puts in $5. Don't get me wrong, I'm still watching. I just prefer the old characters by far to the new characters. I only have the feels for the old characters. Well, yes, but that was how long ago? And yeah, they are. A lot of people are like that. I mean, when new TNG came out, people were like, "Oh, I don't like these new characters. They're not my Kirk and my Spock. I'm not going to watch this show." And then a lot of them just grew to love it because it was done so well. So it's just that old curmudgeon attitude that I think a lot of people have. Like, that's my show back there. Don't wreck it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just kind of get sick of that argument as well.
I mean, it's tricky because you have your own feelings about anything as it comes, but even reviewing how good Picard is compared to other shows, all the other shows had dozens more hours, dozens more stories, so it's almost unfair in any respect to review this thing, really, because even, TOS, 26 episodes roughly times 3, 66 episodes, it's like, well, until it's reached 66, you can't ever say if it's a good or bad show, because you haven't seen the show yet. But we can obviously review each episode as it comes, but not the whole thing. So it is, but you can still have your first reaction. I mean, how many people absolutely loved, Hoshi, or
no one.
Travis? He's like, I mean, he's a character. A lot of these characters were bland more than whatever. I think my biggest problem with the characters in this new show is that and this is my biggest problem I think overall with Picard, is that they haven't balanced the pace of the story, the characters, and the evolution. They treat Raffi like we care, but they haven't made us care yet. And they've given really good scenes that if this was season 3 and a build-up, people are like, oh, damn, Raffi. Only now with her, with the Mama Raffi bit, you start now finally starting to get there.
Yeah. Exactly.
But it's like I did not care with the thing about her son. You didn't care. She
Nope.
was not built up in the correct, efficient way. So, yes, now obviously, then once you then after the end of the season, you then now like her by the end, and you can go back and rewatch them. But that's why these are good time capsules because it's not, but they're not built up properly. You know, Jurati is a nobody really until a certain point. Then it changes. Rios is actually built up very gently, but well. But also, who is he? Don't even know. So the characters aren't built up. Which is why when you suddenly get in a Reich or a Troy or a Data or something, all of the context is there, which means that the scenes become way more real and tangible and deep. These other characters, they haven't built them up properly. Whereas people like Hoshi and even Harry Kim, they were never give that built up. But we weren't. It was very rarely we had to care about them the same way. You know, the reason you cared that Kim died one time and then was a different Kim is because he was there for 2 years or a year, and we liked the fact that he was a good part of the crew. He had some nice lines, but how do you describe Kim apart from his baseline biography?
Let's see. I cared about Kim. I never gave a shit about Hoshi. Cared about Mayweather more than Hoshi, to be honest.
Okay,
And he had less screen time, really, or less character.
yeah.
But
I mean, I tend to like just quality officers. You know, present me with a good quality officer and give him a charm. It's tricky.
yeah.
It's tricky.
Jeff Jacobs puts in $2.01.
Mm.
51 likes, but 104 watching. Let's get to 100. Hashtag
God.
make Jeff pay.
I should probably share this, shouldn't I? Shit.
You should probably share it.
Completely forgot
Yes.
we do that because we came from a recording session. Right, back in a minute.
All right, guys. So this is the time where I tell you that super chats are important. As you guys know, already a lot of super chats in there, so that's great. It helps out the channel. Or join the channel, become the rank of commander, captain, or admiral off the hop. You can be the same rank as one of us, or outrank both of us. That's kind of like the Patreon of YouTube. So that segues nicely into Patreon. Patreon/Trekyards is another great way to help. Yeah, hopefully you heard all that because it looks like I froze. So I don't know if you heard all that. That was a really great segue, but it looks like I froze on the screen there. So I don't know. Anyway, guys, make sure that you help us out any way you can. There's PayPal, there's Patreon, there's the join option. There's so many great ways to help out the channel, and super chats are also amazing in these lives because you get your comment read, your question answered. We got to talk about what message from the mod team. Let's see what they said. Probably that I died there. Oh, never mind. All right. But anyway, yeah. So there should be an interesting topic today. It's probably not going to be too long, to be honest, unless you guys are really interactive with us, because it's one of those topics. And yeah, looks like I'm frozen. Let's see. Jeff Jacobs. Okay, Admiral Sylvia is greater than Captain Foley, which equals Commander Calkins being way greater than Anti-Trekker. Okay, don't know what that means, but there you go. Nothing against Anti-Trekker, though. No, I like Anti-Trekker. He's good. He's good people. But yeah, guys. So he's back now, and there you go.
Hello.
Time for him to talk.
Oh, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. People, Bob's Bits, Bob's Burgers. What?
Bob's Bits and stuff and junk.
Fish 2000. Trekyards. Season 1 of Trek always sucks. Look at DSI TNG. Hours of Judgment. Season 2. I hate the argument because it's like saying every trope in old Treks equal. Like each show is a brand new entity with a new production team, or at least part of a new production team. It just is a fluke they're all not great. It's a fluke that Star Trek's 2, 4, 6 are good movies. Those are flukes. They didn't set out to say, well, next one's an odd number, we'll make a bad movie. Oh, that's an even, we'll go good. They're just weird flukes. Each show tries to be the best it can be. They just end up failing in the first year. Except TOS, which first season is excellent. Like, TOS started absolutely strong. So I don't know the argument because things like Arrow, season 1 is exceptional. Legend of Tomorrow, great. Arrow, all these shows. Once Upon a Time, best season in season 1. So if you've got a concept, you've got a show go strong, like you're spending all this money to build these sets and get its characters, your establishment. Season 1 should be one of your best seasons, unless you know you're going for this big. Oh yeah, we're gonna get renewed, so we can start weak. But it's weird. Why start weaker? It can't be on purpose, which means they drop the ball in many ways. The weaker editing, the weaker characters, that's them dropping the ball. But you can't justify it because other shows did. By that logic, other shows can have all canon mistakes, but those were mistakes. Or this show can have mini skirts because the 60s did. No, it's a different show. You can't, yes, it happens to be that all these season 1s are not great, especially Discovery and Picard to some extent as well. But that's them making a bad season 1. It's not this. It's not the curse of Star Trek.
The thing with season 1 of Picard, though, is it's serialized storytelling. So we have to wait to the end of the season to really know if it's good, because it's all one story. It's not like it's episodic where you can kind of.
That was a great episode. That was a great story.
Yeah, you can't deke and dive going, that was good, that one wasn't. It's basically like all one cohesive.
But I think
thing.
most
So you
people
need to wait to the end before we can lay some judgment down.
Which is why season 2 Discovery was so hopeful, and then you see the cluster F that's the end. It's like, oh wow, yeah, that really dropped the ball massively. First half's better with the build up.
Yeah.
But I think most would agree the pacing is a bit off in this season with how slow versus character. Like, is it a bit off? Even someone I talked to that really loves Picard, he can agree. Yeah, the pacing's a bit weird. I think it's all editing basically.
Jacob Tinknell says, Trekyards, are we assuming Picard was beamed up by the La Sirena or the other guy? It wasn't clear. It was very clear. It was the La Sirena. Yeah, so he's on the La Sirena.
Yeah, besides, we're now quite into the season, so I don't think we're going to have flubs like that in the sense of, oh, we have to do another side. There won't be side plots anymore. It feels like it should be very direct now.
I can't wait to go back at the end of the season and rewatch all the plot lines and plot threads they've dropped and see how they tied them all up, or if they forgot about some. Because I forget everything we said in that, but there were a lot.
Yeah, that was a great live. I mean, but I do think that they're going to change season 2 quite a bit based on season 1's reaction and, plot holiness. That's part of shows, is to help plug their own holes that you might not even see until it's done. Honestly, because something on the page is different in the brain. I was writing a script a couple of weeks ago, and I knew where I had to go. Didn't know how I was going to get there exactly, but I had to visualize the A to B to C to D to get to E. And I had to make some concessions to the middle because I knew it wouldn't connect properly. So you don't know, and then once we start filming it, it'll be like, well, this won't necessarily vibe right, so you'll change it on the fly. So a lot of these things will be. I think season 2 will be interesting, especially with the set. I mean, where's the money going? The actors, obviously, because it's not going as much on the shows as it should be. But the sets are built for season 2, so that budget is drastically reduced.
Is season 2 just going to be a holdover? Like, we're on the La Sirena, we're a crew now? Or is it going to... I can't see Picard doing that. Like, Picard's got the problem with his parietal lobe. He's got an issue. He's got, he's not going to be like, oh, well... Like, I feel season 2 is going to be a step away from that. Like, maybe he gets pardoned by Starfleet and gets...
Or captured by the Jack Vash and put in prison for 6 episodes.
There's got to be something, because I can't see them just, hey, we're a motley crew now. Let's go out and solve mysteries.
It's now Renegade, TNG, but Renegade style. No, it's true. I mean, if they end the season and saying, right, now we need to go find our home planet, and then the second season starts them doing that, and they keep getting attacked and whatever. I mean, how much story can there be? I'm assuming, and I said this to you many times, that there'll be a secret understory that they have sort of teased in as much as there's another layer to it, which is ironic. The Jack Vash would have been a nice reveal for later on in the season if we thought it was Tal Shiar, but by the end it's like, no, there's actually a secret Tal Shiar. That could have been a reveal rather than a info dump. So that if they reveal that, this thing did this thing with the Borg, whatever, then suddenly season 2 is about stopping that threat as opposed to just... Because, if you want to save Soji, you can just escape their clutches. Like, you can warp far enough to get away from them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If that was the point.
I think it might end the season though with like a find evidence that actually Data is alive, that he
Oh, well,
recreated Data in some form, and they have to
season
go
2,
find him for
search for
season
Data.
2 and search for Data. Yeah.
No, that's very
Zeraxis though
true.
throws in.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Zeraxis throws in $5. Wasn't there a bunch of working mid-production, because I could easily see that affecting pacing negatively, particularly with a low episode count. Yeah, there was, like, there's hands off of executive producers and such, and you see it with movies like Solo, and where halfway through the production things get changed, either new director or whatever, so new shit gets filmed. They keep some of the old stuff. It just doesn't feel like it's a cohesive piece. So yeah, I could see that being something that happened for pacing.
Well, like I said, we know that it was 10 episodes, but they turned the first 2 into 3, so that cuts out 1 episode, and then the Riker episode was completely rewritten. So that's 2 of the 10 were radically altered. I mean, that's a lot of a show when you meant to carefully craft the build. You know what I mean? I don't even know what that means, really.
Mm-hmm. Zeraxis, another $5. Thank you very much. If they start fixing the issues with the Federation, I don't see Rios and Picard staying on board a glorified cargo vessel forever. Exactly. Because if the Federation realizes that Picard was right, steps in, helps him, he'll be in better light within Starfleet. Might even get offered his admiralty back or an ambassador status or something. And who knows about Rios, because his ships don't even look up the name because it's been erased from history by the Federation. So we don't know that story. It should be interesting. But yeah, I mean, I could see them getting reinstated into Starfleet. I would love that. I would love to see Starfleet in season 2.
Well, I mean, there's all this
in some capacity.
There's all this stuff with the synthetic ban and the attack and who attacked. I mean, there could be this grand thing, and I think we've both said that a very natural end of the season 1 would be basically season 1 Discovery, but a Federation starship coming out of warp, either taking Picard in or wanting, or the admiral, well, the issue was admiral, wasn't she? Saying you were right, we got this bigger threat. Come back out retirement, because that'd be kind of nice if that's the evolving story of him going from being just this guy to being a captain again, and go from that to being an officer again, and then like the star that is Picard has to burn very brightly in the last, and then he gets to die by season 3. Like, let him have that final flame rather than just be this old guy. Because the fact is, Picard could quite happily sit in a captain's chair, give orders very effectively at 80. Do you know what I mean? Patrick is fine if the captain's chair, or he walks to the conference room. You can have all these great scenes that don't need him walking through forests and sets and such, and still have great quality, interesting content.
Well, Andrew Reynolds says, old man Spiner is alive and hiding on an unknown planet, but we can't come out because of the ban. He created the girls. No, because Maddox said he created the girls, and he sent them, one to the cube, one to Earth, to find out what actually happened with the synth attack. So,
I mean, I wouldn't be against a reveal that Maddox rebuilt Data first. Like, he managed to clone Data successfully. And then Data and Maddox together built the girls as part of, like, we want to just... Like, we want to see if we can make more, I can't go back to Starfleet because reasons. I don't know why they wouldn't necessarily. And therefore, the other big reveal, like I said, a synth alive Brent as Data Brent, as is out there somewhere. I think that would be a very logical reveal. Especially as Brent, because we were saying that could easily be the end of Brent's appearances, or maybe the last episode. Because it's now been, episode 8 has been in it for less than 2 minutes. Or less than 5 minutes.
Well, they need a hook at the end. They need a hook at the end to come back to season 2, whether that be a ship warp in like the Enterprise, whether that be Data show up. There's got to be something like that it's like, and then have us talking about it till season 2, right?
So maybe the end of season 1 is they've got away from the Jatvash. They're like, right, we got away from them. We've survived this asteroid belt, whatever. And suddenly another ship warps in, random design, random whatever. And then someone beams through the shields onto the bridge, and it's Brent Spiner in kind of like a hybrid look, where his hair's like slicked back like Data, maybe black hair too, but he's got a human face, and Picard's like, Data, sort of captain. His mannerisms are half there because he can know he's whatever language he wants, and you're like, oh damn.
Or like Picard's passing out, and you can see the thing hit the eyesight fading or whatever. They see the beam-in effect. You see a
Yeah,
face lean down and it's data, and then
because it's not.
credits.
It's Brent data. It's
Yeah,
completely
exactly.
different. Yeah, and that'd be great. That'd be
Or
perfect.
LaForge or
Well,
Worf or anybody really. Beverly. Just they
yeah.
need a hook. There's going to be a hook right at the
Mm,
end. So anyway, but we're not
mm.
talking about what we're supposed to be talking about.
No, sis. Okay, that's a great. Well, with half an hour, it makes sense. So we got the three crew, and I guess Elnor as well. I guess he counts as part of the crew, although he jumped ship to swap causes as soon as he could. I mean, literally, that's the plot. He jumped causes. Very
Yeah.
unceremonially jumped causes.
Devin Larson puts in $2. I feel like the writers just are not trying. Yeah, they think they're trying. No writer goes in thinking I'm not going to try, but
And there's an interesting comment. Someone called me out one of the 3 or 4 lives ago, saying I said that just because Michael Chabon's in it doesn't make it good. Because this is what they're producing, and the guy said, "Well, who are you, Mr. Cockings? He's an award-winning author, multiple awards, multiple stories." And I said to him, "True, but once you win an award once, doesn't mean everything you make after that is award-winning."
Just look at what's his name? The guy who did The Sixth Sense.
Yeah, M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, fantastic hit with that, and the rest he tried to do twists every time, and it just didn't quite work every time.
Yeah. So yes, you can credit for the work they have done in the past, but it does not define the work they do in the future. Especially as I commented to the guy, Chabon, while a talented person, he was not originally showrunner. It was not his storyline. He had a storyline. They had then changed that, made a different storyline. So it's not his story. He didn't come on the project originally. He didn't pitch the story. He was brought on to take over showrunning for a story that was already being produced, to which he might have made changes to, but it wasn't his story. And he's not the lead writer for every episode. And he's got CBS telling him what to do. And he's got budget constraints. And he's got Patrick having big influence. So you look at Chabon's actual genuine control level as showrunner, and it's much drastically smaller than an average showrunner. And so you can't, the flaws and the benefits aren't necessarily just because of him. But yes, he wrote yes, he has some awards for things previously. Doesn't mean by default he's going to do good things in the past. Otherwise, by that definition, by the same logic that person argued, everyone who does medium quality work can never make brilliant quality work. Or a first-time director who's only done a short can only do a short. I mean, Mr. Wadiki, the Thor guy, he'd done very small films, was given Thor, I think was his first big one, slammed it, and now he's like one of the hot probably items because he proved, damn, he can do something amazing. So it goes both ways. And obviously, Brian Fuller, he was the one that wanted the Klingons to be shaved heads. He wanted the Klingons to have a different look. He wanted the Klingon ships to look not like Klingon ships. It's in the Eagle Moss, Does award winners doesn't mean they can,
Yeah. Torres 69 puts in $2.
Thank you.
162 watching, only 81 likes. Hit that like button. Yes. 160 watching. Guys, hit the like button. You need to do it. Zeraxis, $5. A lot of it could also be studio influence. The best writers in the universe can't write themselves out of a studio mandated black hole. Yep. Same with directors. If they're handed a shit script that was mandated by a studio, there's only so much they can do as well. Same with the actors, to be fair. So shit rolls downhill.
I mean, I'd be certainly interested in if there was a way of having him have total control for, say, 3 episodes, almost like they did with season 4 of Enterprise, like have sub arcs, because then you could see what would him actually. Because I feel like you could always have a Trek fan that could mean anything, but what would you make if it's not too radical? What story would you want to tell? You've got 3 hours to tell it. Show us your true work. I'd be interested to see. That's why it's kind of fun when you get a writer director, because then you get like their vision. And someone like Rian Johnson, though, it can be a radical vision, and some people it can be like, wow, he really, it's like the Russo brothers who did like Captain America's and Infinity War and Endgame. They also helped write those things. They had a very clear vision and clearly the right guys in the right job.
Zeraxis, $5. Also, awards are based on popularity, or at least perceived popularity. Just because something is popular doesn't make it inherently good. Plus, a lot of awards are very political behind the scenes as to who gets them. So, yeah. And Yeah, I was going to say, I almost said, just because you're award winning doesn't mean you can write good Star Trek. You should also be a Star Trek fan to help. That being said, Nicholas Meyer wasn't much of a Star Trek fan when he did Star Trek 2, but I think that's what helped him make that awesome because he brought his own thing to it and he wasn't confined within the Star Trek mandate. But he knew the characters, he watched all the TOS before he did that. So, he wasn't a Star Trek fan going in, but at least he watched all the material.
But that's where I've said to you many times that almost the best Trek story is a really good story that happens to take place in the Trek universe. And then you can then add on to that the canon stuff, the character stuff, either by new characters or by using old characters and blending them in. If the story is good, it should be good either way. And then you add on, well, maybe this story, the Cold War story, but it's oh wow, the story could be Klingons. Oh wow, that makes so much tension sense. Wow, that adds depth to it. And what if we have a cloaked? Well, they have cloaks in Trek. Let's have a firewall cloaked. Wow, that changes the ball game there. And what if the laser versus of Vulcan and Robin? You start adding these layers of the canon. Whereas if the story's not good, like Discovery Season 2, the story's not very good. I mean, there's only so much you can go with a not very good story.
Mm-hmm.
And that balance the Enterprise Season 3 managed to do with a lot of one-offs, or at least very self-contained episodes, benefited, even though it was a grand arc. This season, it'd be hard to summarize the first 4 episodes except with like one word of, the start, the fucking hubris episode, the let's get whatever episode, Let's do it. What is next for Jurati and the crew?
I'll see that interests me because, like I said, Jurati's in a coma, self-induced coma, to get rid of to block the tracker that's in her, and I'm sure evidence is going to come to light or a confession from her that she killed Maddox at some point. So I'm interested to find out how that plays out because they're not just going to be like, oh, okay, well, because of Commodore O. I mean, there's got to be some culpability on her part. I don't know how that's going to play out, but I mean, her character, I can't see how she's going to get out of this season without, unless the whole Maddox thing, never gets uncovered.
Well, the EMH clearly the EMH forgot. She erased it. We're never going to hear about that. I'm sure there's just a little thing. Oh yeah,
I don't know if he forgot yet. He hasn't had a chance to speak. Next episode, they could be standing in the sick bay and he'd be like, "Yeah, she turned me off. She deactivated me when Maddox was whatever." And it could go.
Often we've had the Doctor EMH where he's turned on and off. He continues the same conversation that he was saying,
Yeah.
So the Doctor that this EMH did turn on fresh. So that would imply that he was either active between that or deleted memory. Small things, but also that's me understanding the canon better than these writers sometimes. But we've seen in the next episode on that Jurati will wake up quickly, and I guess they only had to get to Picard, and therefore the usefulness of making her a coma is only one off. Although I kind of hope she's hurt long term from that, not in a sadistic way. Just like it works better as a narrative device if she risked her life to help them, rather than 50-50 chance, 30-60 chance, whatever. If it was just like, oh yeah, I'll be fine. Whereas the acting I saw in that scene was I could die. I very well could die, and I'm at peace with that. Is what I thought that scene meant.
And Fiddlehead says, Trekyards, have you not seen the clip about Jurati? Even if we had, a lot of people here haven't, so we are just kind of speculating on where this episode left off. But I don't know which one you're speaking about specifically, so... Anyway. We could talk about the clip because he just ruins it there for everybody.
I haven't seen it, so I'm not gonna read that. But yeah, I mean, I can see her being a one-season character. She's very, when you see her, she's very just a plot character. She's there to have done a thing, which, although in essence that was why she was brought on the ship, because I wanted to do a thing. So it works actually internally. But this season's been less about data. It's because we haven't really got to the bottom of what, why, and who. Only, I guess, who and where, but not what and why. And so the data stuff we're still at the very most baseline of that. That's why I'm still so surprised we haven't seen more data. That evolution of story. But that could be the season 2 arc. Season 1 is making sure you're safe and finding her. Because now they're running from the Jatvash. Or fighting the Jatvash. What was his plan? I don't remember. Something. But I guess they're safe now. Oh, let's go to the home world. That's what it was.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, in season 2, then where's Data, how she was born? Because I'm sure Data's engrams have to be on that planet.
Or at least indications to another planet, though. It might be like a journey, a map. Maps and legends. There was no maps in that episode.
I could see as well happening.
What?
I could see the end of the season that they get to the planet because they can't get to the planet straight away because of reasons. So the last episode, they get to her homeworld, and as she's there, her programming allows her to remember how to get to the base, to get the home structure, and so she gets on. They either beam in or land, and they walk off. And who greets them but Law, full on functional alive Law, Brent Spiner, but he's since adapted his programming to allow him to age, so he looks like you would expect Data Brent to look now, and sort of I guess gracefully aged makeup, because they did the makeup on Brent to then be digitally changed. Whereas if you did it to look just like an older Data, you wouldn't have the same worry. And then that the big reveal is that Law was there the entire time, and now he's one of the villains in a sense, because that'd be a fun bring back, and he's pulling the strings, and he put in secret things in the girls to do certain things, and there's a submission that only Soji knows about in a programming. And you get Brent as Law back, because like we said, where is Law? Why isn't he mentioned? They're probably never going to mention Law or Lal, because it's easier not to. But we certainly would think about that. And why wouldn't the remnants of that be on the home planet? And why wouldn't it be Law? He's fully alive, or should be anyway. Easy way of doing it.
Yeah. Jeff Jacobs, $2.01, 101. Nice. We should get to 150 easily. # make Jeff pay. Guys, if you haven't hit like. Simple thing to do to help the channel. Just hit the like button.
And Daniel Hot Topics, I heard a rumour that they'll bring back Captain Benjamin Sisko for Picard Season 2. Hope so, because Benjamin Sisko is my favourite captain. I mean, he's retired from acting, and he's got a
problem with rumors. Anybody can start a rumor.
Well, I mean, they've rumoured the Pike show for over a year now. So, and even though it might happen still, it's a lot of rumours, and boy, we hear a lot of rumours that just don't ever. That's what the amount of rumours we hear and then report on is 1/10, because unless we really believe them, we wouldn't. We're not a clickbait channel. We don't just promote potentials. We discuss interesting things, but we're not going to,
And to be fair, Cisco being, coming from the wormhole, he can essentially look like anything when he comes back out if he wants to. They could recast, but I just hope they don't.
I mean, that's true, but it would remove the connection to the character, because only Avery can play it with the way that Avery did.
Yeah.
And then, yes, sure, hire a young actor, rough same age, play him, fine. Yeah. I mean, what's the point at that point?
Exactly. Well, the profit powers would be the only reason. It'd be because he was a... Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense, but...
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Zeraxis, $2. I want to see a recovered good guy lore personally. A recovered good guy lore.
I mean, good guy lore. Learn the lessons, almost, sort of.
Anything's possible.
Yeah.
SWTX Chaser, $2. Lore versus 7, Synth versus Borg, Season 2. I could see it.
Well, then you ask, how deep do the Borg connections go? Is it really just the cube? I say just the cube, but is that the point of the connection? Is that all it is? And because 7 happens to be the ranger they meet, or is there going to be more connective tissue that we are going to see? Is there a Borg subplot? And if there is, then the Data subplot is less important really than the Borg subplot, because
I don't know, man. That's my answer. James McGill, $2. How
Thank you.
much of Picard's Romulan situation relates to Star Trek Online? I don't know. I never really got far into the Romulan campaign on Star Trek Online, to be fair. Um,
Well, it's all there in the normal campaign as well, just via other characters. I mean, we know that they looked at that game, but I mean, nothing from there is canon. Nothing from there is going to be used per se unless they really want to. And if they do, they're unlikely to take things whole cloth without tweaking it slightly because it's their own thing. Part of having the license, both literal and also figurative, that you want to do your own thing. You want to be able to say, "I made a Trek." Even with a book adaptation, how many times they tweak things that they want to, when you could easily argue, I mean, why not just have it identical to the book because that's what people loved, but you want to add your own spin. Otherwise, all you are is just transforming this medium into another medium, and is that as creatively interesting as it could be? Well, maybe not. So,
yeah. Ryan Howe, $2. They
thank you.
could deepfake Cisco. Oh my God.
I
If he has a small part, if he's going to be like a regular character, then no.
the thing is, they didn't even do that for Data. His de-aging wasn't anywhere near as good as it could have been. Because, I mean, the fact is Marvel can do bloody magic, and yet we got Brent look like Brent looked. It's fine. Yeah. So they don't want to spend... I'm sure that Samuel Jackson in Captain Marvel, I mean, that could cost 80 million just to do his digital work for the film. The cost of the entire season of Picard just to... But they know they're going to make $1 billion. It's an investment and it's a technical achievement. I mean, can you imagine how much The Irishman cost to do those 3 actors digital de-aging and then without wires? I mean, hundreds of millions potentially. But the result is what you get.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's weighing the Uncanny Valley thing against bad makeup, because we talked about Data's kind of not looking like Data, even though it was Brent. Whereas even in that the movie you just mentioned, there's some moments where it's kind of like not spectacularly done. It takes you out of it a little bit. That's all I'm saying.
And obviously people have pointed out that I credit, I say, Captain Marvel for just the tremendous level of quality of de-aging Samuel Jackson, because he's a primary in that, yet he feels younger. That's obviously the guy's acting, but people done side by side with actually how he looked at the time period that he bases his face on, and he doesn't look the same because you can't fully change a face without just replacing the face, and they didn't do that. But it's like, yes, but it was really good. Like, it was still really impressive. And it's that thing where it's as good as you remember it being, rather than necessarily as good as it actually was.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're not going to be having a side by side comparison of each person, right? So
yeah.
Unless you're on Trekyards, and
that's
what we do.
But
I don't know. Deep fake's fine, and deep fake would be good, but I think it'd be kind of disrespectful to
Well, I mean, you have
Brooks,
to bring his voice back at least, because you know what I mean. There's so much but then you just rehire him. I mean, he's obviously of a right age that could do it.
No, if he wants to, he's able to.
Yeah, I mean, actors want to act, but I mean, he was the hero of his show, one of the many heroes. Would he want to come back for a bit part? And then if Cisco comes back for Picard Season 2, isn't it then Star Trek Picard / Cisco?
That'll be Season 2, Star Trek Cisco. They're just going to do a new captain every season.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily be against that.
Star Trek Janeway for Season 3.
I mean, it's not even the worst idea.
Star Trek Archer. There won't be any Star Trek Kirk, though, unless they do Chris Pine.
And I want to clarify one thing. I'm starting to hate clickbait as society moves on. People are relaying William Shatner's recent tweets about Kirk, and all the news articles I saw on Facebook were posting that Picard is Kirk Shatner has now said he's officially retired from the role. He didn't actually say that. Please read what he said. He said that he thinks the story's done, but he said very recently that he thinks he'd love to come back as Kirk. This is like a month ago. Love to come back as Kirk, but he'd have to do it via digital character or de-aging, mostly digital. Like, if it was a digital character version of him, he would jump at the chance. He would love to do it more. Like, love to. But then he said, but him as old Kirk, him as like, unless it's a really good story. So please read his actual posts, because I hate that clickbait. Because saying he's retired is a big thing, but he said a month ago he'd love to come back as the character just as CG.
Yep. Fiddleheads puts in $2 and says,
Thank
"I
you.
am the new EMH now, Commander rank." Welcome, Fiddleheads. I don't know when you joined the ranks, but yes, you're the new EMH. Okay. Good to know. Good to know.
We learned something here today, folks. So that's sorry.
Total Random Reviews puts in $5.
Thank you.
Little was taken in STO. It was still the Hova Star, and the Romulans became great allies to the Federation and Klingon Empire as the Romulan Republic. So there you go.
But I mean, it would be too risky to take stuff from Stowe, because once anything is canonized from Stowe, then you ask the question of, well, how much is canonized? It is a slippery slope of, they've done so many interesting stories.
Yeah.
But it's a lot to do, and obviously that's what you could say. Well, how many of the books are now canon post Picard? Well, none of them, really. I guess until they're definitely uncanonized. But I mean, you can't even you definitely can't say Aventine stuff worked. All that stuff you can't just call out as existing now, because the universe is so different.
Yeah.
Than any of those books assumed.
Yeah. Well, Eugene, 500 rubles.
Thank you.
What's next? Don't know. Probably nothing, at least for the next episode. I guess there will be a lot of exposition on La Sirena, and the main action will be on the cube. Yep. I don't think there's going to be... we'll talk about that tomorrow with our prediction video, but I think there's going to be a lot of cube and very, very little Sirena, for sure. But could be wrong on that. They could just be focusing on that for the trailer, as they tend to do. They tend to be misleading.
I mean, we talked about the costumes. That was the entire point of we were not excited about the episode because of the trailer, and it was the smallest part. It's also they didn't want to reveal stuff because everything in that episode is a spoiler. They were careful with that one. But we talked about Jurati now, to some extent. What do you think then about Rios? I mean, although as I think you alluded to earlier, it all breaks down to, is there going to be this crew mentality? Is that going to be the point of the show? Are we going to get this crew? Is that going to be the new Picard crew? Or is it only a one-season set of people? Do we even need to care about these people if, slightly later down the line, it doesn't really matter because he's only there to be the pilot for a bit of it? Or is this going to be the crew? The motley crew?
Hello.
What do you think, Stuart?
Well, I didn't hear half of that because I was like, because the signal was shit. So I heard something about the crew and whether it's going to be the crew going forward, and I don't think so.
Yeah.
Because Jurati is probably going to be thrown in prison.
I mean, I assume I meant the rest of the people. Yeah, she least so.
Well, Rafi's gonna go and clean up her life and make good with her son, and look, who gives a shit? I don't care. I'm sorry, but I don't care, and I don't think it's going to be this crew growing. Like this is not a crew, as Rio said. Picard's a passenger. He's a job. He's a cargo. I have a paying customer, or whatever he said. I can see them kind of working together because he was an XO. He was a commander in Starfleet. Picard is obviously Picard, so I can see those two kind of working together, and maybe Raffi, because but I think it's going to have to be something that Starfleet redeems them in some way and gives them some kind of special, whatever
license to act.
Yes, maybe they'll upgrade the La Sirena with warp nacelles and paint it gray.
Sci-fi gray.
I don't know. Somebody said earlier, well, they've got all the sets made for the La Sirena. It's going to be the hero ship.
That's what I mean.
Moving forward.
Because there's a big set, and they spend time there, but it's they're committing to that. Yeah. Unless the story literally does not end even remotely. If because based on how slow it is, if we don't get any resolution from the Jack Vash, we don't even get, like we said, if we end at the planet, the homeworld planet, because of reasons, that's the last episode, that's the last scene. Then you've got all season 2 to be what happens next. That's a decent, but if you solve the story, but I mean, is there even going to be a neat bow? We've got obviously all the Jurati stuff with the it's a conspiracy with Starfleet and not about the synth attack. I mean, the synth attack now, I don't know if you agree with this, but it feels like it's becoming less and less relevant to the story in that it was just the event that triggered, whereas originally it was played, I felt anyway, like this is the thing we need to discover what happened. But now it feels like, oh, it was just a thing that happened because of something else, and who cares? Do you know what I mean?
No, see, yeah, but I think that's going to be revisited because of Raffi. She messed up her life, the life of her kid, their relationship because of this conspiracy. Then she, started putting the pieces together. Why are the Romulans keeping Soji alive when they know what she looks like? They can kill her. She's on the cube. And then this episode we released today talking about all those symbols that she was focusing on when they were trying to escape from the Borg cube. She's good at seeing those pieces and how things interweave, and she's good at conspiracies. She sees connections where other people don't. So that's going to all come back. And I think that's going to be involved in season 2, either getting to the bottom of who did the synth attack or something. That's going to be the plot for season 2, which will mean these people will still be staying together.
But don't we just assume it was the Jack Vash? I mean, that's the problem. Isn't that just the easy assumption?
But why and how? Yeah, they hate synths, so they want the Federation to not have synths. Like, okay. It's kind of a lazy idea, don't you think? And then how'd they execute it? How was that accomplished? Again, we might get answers next episode with this whole the destroyer thing and the vision.
Well, that's true. I mean,
the coven of witches around the fire, but Well,
that's what I mean. I mean, how much of this is genuinely connected versus just things that are happening? Because there's so many layers to this. But if you're pitching a 3 to 5 year arc, what's the real story? Is what I'm trying to say. I guess what is the actual story behind this show? They're fragmentally going between different things, or is the real story the corruption in Starfleet? Was it potentially Starfleet's idea to destroy the synths? To F you to Romulus, and therefore it'll all come back to Starfleet admirals in the end, and something's affected Starfleet, because maybe, very very maybe, we might find that Starfleet caused the Hobus destruction, which is not now the Romulan Stars destruction, a bad sect inside Starfleet, and they're the ones that then destroy the synths, and they're because of it,
and the people actually behind it the whole time were the little critters from Conspiracy.
So it's didn't they?
The whole time, and they're going to link it all together into every bad thing that every admiral's ever done since the beginning. Taurus 69 though, $2, 202 watching, only 118 likes. # like spike. That's right, 208 of you are here, guys. Make sure you hit that like button if you haven't already. Just a quick, nice little friendly reminder. Also, make sure you're subscribed and join the channel if you can, or super chat.
And join the channel is really actually useful. Please check it out. 3 tiers of subscription. It's really, really cool, actually. And it makes a big difference. Already we're seeing the difference, and it's only been around for about a month, so yeah.
Yeah. And Fat Produce puts in $5. The problem I have with this is if there's a hull breach, everyone is dead, since there's 3 total rooms on the ship. Yeah, but you see all those bulkheads there. Those will probably each have force fields that extend across, or I don't know. They come up with something.
No, I would assume that.
But you're right.
It's a bad design. Yes and no. Force fields must be effective, otherwise, what's the point? And they've only got more effective. I mean, yes, in Nemesis, one guy would only flying out the ship before the force field went on. But I mean, that's not. You could argue it about that. It took. I don't know. You could. They should be very effective, so I'm not really worried about that being a problem. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah. Well, James Roberts says, what about this Conclave of 8? Remember that was mentioned? Michael Chabon revealed in his Instagram page that O's name has a curious relation to the Vulcan word for 8. Ooh.
Well, it is a very random name, so it makes sense it would link to something or be a code name. And maybe her eyes got damaged because of the radiation, because of the, maybe that's the reason for sunglasses.
Oh my god. Yeah.
No, so that'll be the big thing.
Possibly.
Once Jurati wakes up and starts telling people things, that'll be where things start to turn, and we'll be like, okay, I see what you're going for there. That'll be a big deal when that happens.
Uh-huh. If eight, the Cylons are back.
It's funny.
Let's see. I don't know. And then Rios. I mean, a lot of people have been speculating, and more so now. It's kind of snowballed that he's in fact a hologram, and we're going to get a reveal of that. Apparently, there's the titles for episode 9 and 10 have been released because they're basically part 1 and part 2. Okay. So something having to do with ego. I don't even know the title offhand. I just heard it quickly mentioned on another live, but and everybody started going off because we'll find out that Rios is actually a hologram, and called it.
I mean, it works, except the fact that he went on that mission, and it could be a mobile emitter hologram, but you would feel like people would notice or know or sense it, or Raffi. I mean, what purpose does that serve to make him a hologram? I'll ask that. And having an entire ship of holograms, in fact, tells you that synths are actually very dangerous. While synths are different to holograms, it's in the same vein. If an AI guy can run a ship totally independently, drink lots, smoke lots, I mean, that's a lot of independent thought. Unless, obviously, it was a ploy by Starfleet to give him a crew. But then you're going really weird conspiracy. Then again, the conspiracy theory of the entire synth stuff is a conspiracy, so... What do you think? He thinks nothing. Okay. Hello, everyone. I guess his Skype died a bit. Anyway.
Hello.
You alright there?
Yeah, the signal was just way too bad, so I just had to call again.
Fine on my end.
Koros says, does a hologram have a smell? Because that dude smelled him and thought he was okay. Oh yeah, Mr. Vup.
I can imagine
Nari.
I can imagine the mobile emitter might be able to synthesize stuff because it was 29th century tech, but yeah, I mean that by itself should be enough to disqualify.
He'd be able to smell that it was a replicated smell almost, with that many olfactory senses that he had.
And then, why would Jurati... Because Jurati doesn't... No, not Jurati. The other lady, sorry, I always forget her name. EXO lady, Raffi. Raffi doesn't know he's a hologram then because she gave him drugs, which then kicked in randomly at the right time. So, did she give real drugs to a holographic person?
There's more evidence. There's more evidence to the contrary than there is to substantiate the fact he's a hologram for sure.
And
those will all be explained.
It's vaguely interesting, but I don't think it adds anything. I don't think it takes anything away necessarily, and it's certainly interesting, but okay, I could rather see more of his holograms interact. I'd rather see those scenes play out because they're fun. But Rios, like I say, he's impressed me because he hasn't been the character I thought he was going to be. I think they've had a very fine line, and they went the charming rogue that has a ton of respect, and that was a good play. But I would be fine with developing his backstory of seeing more of what he was up to, seeing flashbacks of him in uniform, with a shaved face maybe. Obviously, those will have to be filmed separately because he has to show his face. But I'd love to see him in the full uniform and such. And even you could do, if you want to be very, very fun, with obviously Brent has the uniform. He was certainly alive during post Nemesis, even TNG. You could have him look without the beard, be in Nemesis uniform totally without doing anything to his age wise. Who's to say his ship didn't get destroyed when he was in Nemesis uniform, 15 years ago? That'd be cool. Have some scenes with that. That could be the big season 2 arc, the secret mystery of that, or maybe Picard feels so indebted to these people after season 1 and how much they've helped him that he wants to help them. Maybe at the end of the season, Rios gets a signal from something about his old ship, and his captain's not dead, and he's like, I've got to go find this, and Picard's like, you know what? I knew that, Captain. I will help you, and they warp away. And that might be the sting, is that these other arcs will be addressed, because you don't. It was interesting. You don't want that to mean nothing, you know.
And Zartrek says Rios can't be a hologram. Didn't he beam down in the Vegas episode in episode 5? Well, yeah, but it's 20 years after the Doctor and them got back from the Delta Quadrant, so mobile emitter technology could be a lot smaller.
Well, yeah, I would
no issue with that.
Yeah, I doubt they could reverse engineer that necessarily because it's that advanced, but maybe a one-to-one clone of it, maybe. You know.
Yeah. Seatown Avenger, $2. Watch the Romulan siblings are androids. No.
Well, I mean, what better way to catch an android than an android? I mean, Matt Decker may be a replicant in Blade Runner, maybe or maybe not, and therefore same logic. I mean, I wouldn't mind that. Romulan replicants are androids, but then the Javash doesn't hate them as much as they want to. I'm still hoping for the reason, the plot being not as black and white as that, because I don't buy an organization that was during the Vulcan time hate androids. I mean, are you telling me that proto Vulcans use androids for everyday life? It's like, what? 2000 BC on Vulcan, there are androids everywhere, just like iRobot. And they turned just like iRobot. They were destroyed by Will Smith in makeup with pointy ears and a machine gun by Will Smith.
Telma ML puts in $2. Who's the coolest Star Trek actor you've met?
Oh, good question.
I've met quite a few.
That's a good question.
I'd have to say probably Anthony Rapp.
I've had unique experiences with.
He's cool.
He is cool. I've had unique experiences with tons of them in like very different ways. I think when Mary Shifo, I met her who plays Laurel, walking up to a table and she says, "I know you," and then worked out who I was based on my face, and then saying she loved our content. Having no expectation of any Discovery people knowing us, that was pretty cool. Then when Anthony knew my name, also pretty cool, without me prompting. But And that leads into my story with Anthony. I walk up and he's like, "Hello, Captain," because he knew who we were. And I'll just tell the story again, goddammit. Please do.
So, like, I had my business cards in my pocket with my key card for the room as well. And all day I was making deliberate attempts to make sure I handed out business cards, not my key card. But I went to hand him a business card and I handed him... Right? No. That's the only time it happened that day. But... That's the only time it happened at all, actually, the whole trip, because I was very careful. Anyway, so I would go to hand him a business card, and I hand him my room key, and he's like, "Oh, Captain Foley." And it's like, no. It was just a funny, embarrassing little moment, and it was great. So
yeah, he took it exactly as it was accidentally intended. He was, oh my god, the funniness of that.
He just played along with it. It was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's definitely a good sport. And congrats to him for getting double engaged. He proposed first, and his fiance double proposed. Cool.
Yep.
Good for him.
Yep.
I've seen the pictures of them like in a bloody cool mountain range, or in the. It looked like he's in the what's it called, the
Grand Canyon.
Yeah, I don't think he was, but it looked like that. And it's like, whoa, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, and since then, I'd talk with him pretty regularly. He actually sent me a signed picture for free, no charge, from the set. He had it printed off. And it says, "For Captain Foley from Trekyards. All the best to you." Anthony Rapp. Yeah, it's hard to read his handwriting, but yeah. So, anyway,
I think it's fair to say that Stu has a slight celeb Trek man crush on him.
A little bit. I always liked his character from the beginning.
Yes, you did. And
I threw you under the bus right in front of him. I'm like, yeah, Samuel never liked your character.
Yes, defending that. And I think he did that with the captain as well, which I was a bit annoyed about.
Gabriel Lorca.
Yeah, that wasn't great.
What's his name?
Yeah.
Jason
Isaacs.
No, he was another great one to talk to. He was way friendlier than I anticipated. And what's his name? What's the actor's name?
Jason Isaacs.
Jason Isaacs, that's it. But yeah, I did the same thing. I'm like, yeah, he always thought you were a Starfleet captain.
And I justified it.
And he said, that's good because that's what I was going for.
Yeah.
But I was like, I thought you made a good Starfleet captain, just hard-edged, you know? It was a good conversation. Anyway.
Yeah, it's great.
I love throwing Samuel under the bus every chance I get.
It does happen.
When he's right beside me.
It does happen more often than not, weirdly enough. And that's fine. I've always had fun interactions with Garrett Wang because he remembers me every single time because I've met him enough times. And there's almost a shorthand of, oh, hey, man, good to see you again. But it's just like, oh, yeah, see you again. But one nice one I had was with Alan Ruck, who plays John Harriman, Enterprise B.
Harriman, yeah.
And that was because I'd made Temporal Anomaly, which was my fan film, where the primary is from the Nemesis era, and his granddad is John Harriman. And the entire story is about him learning to appreciate, I'm oversimplifying it, but with his granddad. And I always liked the John Harriman character because, in theory, he's a brilliant captain because he was given the Enterprise. Like, you're not given the next Enterprise after Kirk, not being a brilliant captain. He's had a really bad day.
We just saw him on a really bad day.
With I mean, I know he's a bit young, but I mean, so was Kirk at the first pilot was even younger in a sense, or not quite, but you know what I mean. So he must have been amazing, and he was never given time. When you see him in Of Gods and Men, I think he's tremendous. In that fan he's really good, and he really enjoyed that. And because of Temporal Anomaly, and because I knew the convention organizers, I managed to steal him away during the event for about 25 minutes, which, as you can imagine, Stuart, is a long time at a convention, especially a smaller one, which is more like a signing show. We had a little room, interviewed him, super friendly. We had a good conversation. I knew a lot about all of his Trek appearances. Like, I knew about Of Gods and Men a lot, and we had a good conversation, and I showed him some clips, and it was surreal and nice to get to see a guy that theoretically my film was based on. So that was like a very one-to-one, and they just left because his particular handler knew me quite well from all my times at events. So she was more like, oh yeah, I'll just go out and get coffee. Like, you've got this, I'll go have a break. So we had complete access to him for half an hour. Yeah. So that was a very free experience, which was nice. So that I'll always remember.
We've had a lot of interactions with Star Trek actors, and I think that would be a whole live stream in itself, just talking about them, each one. That'd be fun, actually. We might do that. But we got to move on with the other super chats.
Oh, sorry, yes.
So there you go, Thelma. Bird of Prey 5 is here.
Hey.
It's in $5.
Thank you.
I don't think that Rios is a hologram now, but he will be replaced with one after dying or getting captured or such.
Interesting.
I like that. I like that. That is great. Yeah, I can see that happening, actually. But who knows? So.
Yeah, not necessarily sure why. But yeah. I think Rios has the most potential at his characters for growth, and I can see Jurati leaving this season, but I can see Raffi and I can see Picard basically allows Raffi to get out of the hole that is her life by giving her something to work for, to believe in again, and Rios
better to work on the vineyard.
Yeah.
Go clean the sprayers.
Yes, use your conspiracy brain to work out why these leaves are molting 6 months early. It's the Romulans. No. And you know, Rios had a fine life, but I think he although they haven't played it like this, and I'm kind of impressed they haven't. He could have felt like he was lacking purpose, like he was just going through the motions of earning money to live and whatever. But they've actually played him quite straight, like, yeah, he's just a guy. But having this admiral who you've always liked to work with and for, and in a sense be the captain of, I can see there being still the Sirena and those three continuing in season 2 as a 3, and then picking up people along the road, especially since, you know, Picard knows Raffi a lot, Raffi knows Rios a lot, and then Rios and the captain, he knows the legacy of the captain, and Picard's very, like, he's always used to being the upper hand in a conversation, so he's used to, like, getting to like people quickly because everyone outranks everybody. So you've got to, like, work with them quickly because you're the captain, so you've got to, like, you know. But I think the fact that we haven't even mentioned Elnor yet tells us how important he is. Because he's in the crew too, probably.
Well, let's get to him in a second.
Okay.
Who cares, honestly? Trace, $5.
Thank you.
Have you guys done or plan to do any Fleet Yards episodes covering ships from the Expanse? Great sci-fi series that usually keeps their eyes on physics. Samuel,
Yes, Stuart.
would you like to answer this question?
No, we have not. But there is a
Raciante.
Raciante. Where is it? I deliberately put it so everyone could see it as like a. No, we have done it, and did convert the model. No, I haven't seen The Expanse. You've seen some of The Expanse. We will, I'm sure, at some point. But for me personally, it's the last sci-fi show I haven't seen, and so it's like once I've seen them, that'll be it. And besides, I feel like if we do review it, we'll have to actually review them, like not just watch them. And like I would want to do content about them because it's such a loved show that we would, you know what I mean? There's some people have asked for it. I can see there being an audience for that, and that's a whole obligation to do as well. I mean, that could be fun, TNG, and then do a fresh viewing of. I said Dark Matter there, but of Expanse. But no, we haven't. Although I think, although I will say we have got the designer of the Rossiette.
Raciante.
I have got his email, and he likes us, and I like him quite a lot. He's really cool. So we have him on speed dial, as it were, when eventually we get to it. So you'll get a very, very great bit of content when that eventually happens.
Yes, we have our things lined up. All right. Rhode Island says, how is this on topic? No offense. Well, because you guys lead the chat with the super chats. Mm-hmm. So, if you want us to talk about something, we will. We usually stay on topic generally for lives, but it's fun every once in a while to step a little outside the box and take a break. So, yeah, don't complain.
Yeah, I mean, someone asked about, and that's the nice thing. It was a super chat question asked about the celebrity thing, and so therefore we gave them a very, very full answer. And I'm sure they feel great about that. I mean, how many times have you seen a live with a YouTuber and you're like, it's a one-word answer and you're like, oh, okay. Or you've given a super chat to someone and they're like, you know what I mean?
Or they don't even answer it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, tell me, ML, the one that asked the question, says, Anthony Rapp looks just like my husband, like they are twin brothers. He defected, sadly. LOL.
Damn. Awesome.
Interesting to know.
Come on, let's talk about Eleanor. We've got to talk about Eleanor.
Well, after the last super chat, Jeff Jacobs, $2, 150, beautiful. We should get to 200. Hashtag make Jeff pay. 221 of you here. Everybody hit that like button. Let's get to 200. Yes, Elnar. He is going to team up with Seven and become part of the Fenric Rangers. Because when you hear Rangers, you hear like forest people, and he's an archer. Well, he's not an archer. He's a swordsman, I guess. But he should be an archer, which is an elf.
He gave him a whole load of backstory there that he definitely doesn't have. No, I love that, actually. And I heard a rumor, but I really just think it's a guy saying he wish he would want to see you. But actually, I think it's a... CBS have been very trigger-happy with shows. Without even knowing if they're going to be successful. The animated, the Section 31 and the other one. But someone said, well, what about a 7 of 9 led show about the Rangers? I mean, that's certainly more interesting to me than the animated, because it's post TNG. Seven's absolutely could carry a show by herself, like as a primary. You get to have episodic, you get to have exploring and defending, you get to deal with political stuff, you get to bring back, obviously her legacy character friends are, Chakotay, the Doctor, all the people that you could deal with, link in directly, and you get to have a redemption arc, which she hasn't been given. So I think that's a very good idea for a storyline, and certainly postage is much more interesting than Section 31 show at that part of the timeline. And so if he joined the Rangers, he could be part of that. But then there's very little character to be excited about with Eleanor. And I hope he isn't just there for plot reasons like Jurati is. Like, he's just there to kill the people that want to kill Picard until then he needs to die, then it's sad.
Because Picard can't do it because he's not an action hero anymore. He's too old.
Yeah.
You're a young man and an old man.
But if Eleanor did die in the last episode to sacrifice himself for the greater good of Picard's health, how impactful would that be on you? What sort of payoff? Would you feel emotional? Like, what level would that work on you, do you think?
I think it would work pretty well. I mean, he's naive. He's kind of, even though he hasn't been in it much, there's been enough of him being naive and just kind of like new to things that it would be sad. It would absolutely be sad. So
I'm kind of nice. I thought you were going to dismiss that as I don't care. So I'm kind of glad that you did think so. I would agree. I think, it more so much as the idea of him dying, like, well, that's really sad, rather than actually really, really caring, but like, oh, that's really, like, oh, damn. Poor Elnor, in the general sense of, oh, poor Elnor.
Yeah. It depends how visceral the death is, too. Like, if he gets his, like, tongue ripped out of his throat and, like, wrapped around his neck, and, I mean, they do something gross and visual like that. So, anyway.
It's true. Great. Let's see Elnor get butchered live on Star Trek Picard. Dum dum dum. Family show. This is not a family show, guys. This is not a family show.
I wouldn't put it past them.
No.
They want that shock value. They want that. Oh, we didn't see that coming.
Although Hugh, spoilers. Hugh was graphic-ish. Like, I wouldn't call it excessively graphic. It was like, wow, but he didn't, like, they didn't focus on his bleeding, like, to the point of ugh. Like, it was okay, but it wasn't anything truly drastic.
Did you see the knife sticking out of his wound when he came around the corner? It was already there.
A little bit. Wait. Oh, do you mean before she threw it?
Yeah.
Oh. Oops.
Yep. A lot of people have been talking about that online. Anyway. Makeup's hard, guys.
Yeah. Although, did you hear that his final day, Jonathan Darko actually had the contacts or something and hurt his eyes to the point that he could barely see and he was in pain. So did all of his final scenes barely seeing and in pain, and he actually
it felt like a death.
Retrospect, yeah, he think that actually kind of worked well, while sucking actually added something to his performance. I think he didn't even know he was dying until like a week before, so he didn't have time to process it. So he was dealing with all the real emotions. He didn't know before the episode, so that's why when you see him hug Patrick, and that was a chosen, he suggested it in a take, can I just hug him and see how it feels? That's why it's even more visceral, because he knew he was going to die, and he got to add that extra bit of himself into that.
Elnor is Picard's long lost son. Yeah, no, I don't think so, Ozzy.
Sorry, I wasn't meant to laugh at that, was I?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, it wouldn't be. I mean, hey, would it be interesting if it's Seela's son?
Oh, dear God. I read an article earlier today that, well, not an article, but a comment that not everything has to tie together. It's good to leave mystery in a lot of places and even have alien things that have no connection to us. Yep.
I would agree. I mean, things can be impactful and important. Like we said, if the daughter and the brother, if the brother and sister were Seela's daughter and son, and she became a Jatvash, and the real vengeful nature came from Seela, that works because they're functionally incredibly important to the story, and Seela becomes a catalyst to it. You know what I mean? Like that feels very integral to the plot. Whereas the throwaway of Seela being of Elnor, that's like it's not active in the plot. Whereas I can see the venom. I mean, can you not see a bit of the venom of Seela in the sister? You know, like that bit of hate.
Yeah. And Joe, yes, I got your message. I see it now, so thank you. Just wanted to address.
Yeah.
No, honestly, I want Seela to show up season 2, but I don't want that these are related to her in any way. That would just be dumb. Just saying.
Yeah, it's a balance. It's a balance. It's like having Tranya be a drink that he drinks. I mean, it's not needed, but add something. It's not needed, but it's an innocuous ending. That's why, same thing with having the Andorians in the background of the Borg cube. It doesn't take anything away. It adds something, but it's also so small that, you know what I mean? I think those sorts of references are perfect because it's just like, cool, it was Andorian. Mm-hmm. Sweet. Nice. Good job, probably.
Yeah. But not every Andorian has to be related to the one that, was on the Enterprise and TOS. And
yep, you don't need to make that one scientist a Shran.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
don't you
Yeah.
don't you don't need to. I mean, hey, you can name a ship the Shran as they did in Discovery. 'Cause I think when they had Jeffrey Combs come back and voice somebody in the Discovery era, it was the Shran that he commanded, which is a yeah, reasonably funny
Mhm,
reference.
mhm. Tab extra throws in a 100 and north. It's like $10, I think. And okay, Kuna.
Hold on, let me find it. It is yes, $12 a Norwegian krone.
Norwegian krone. All
Thank
right,
you.
cool. $12. To me, in the last episode of Picard, it felt like Picard, Riker, and Troy were acting in a Starfleet series. Every other
Mm.
character was in a Game of
Mm.
Thrones episode. Yeah, the Game of Trek syndrome nowadays.
Yeah, and this is why we need that slightly more serialized. We need that slightly more positive. We need Picard being a beacon of
Said
hope.
slightly more serial.
Hmm? Oh, episodic. Sorry, it's slightly more episodic.
I thought you
Sorry,
said
the opposite, I
no.
guess.
I thought you said slutty more episodic. Oh,
I
anyway,
mean that's where we do get into Game of Thrones territory. Um,
exactly.
but we can only hope that this is the deliberate setup of darkness to allow the show to continue. But Michael Chabon has already proven to have a few interesting ideas, like he hates star dates. He refuses to use star dates. He thinks they're dumb and blah blah blah. And it's like that's a having the Enterprise D with Stardate, and you kind of get a sense of time. Like that's a staple of the franchise, and you can track the universe with Stardates. Obviously, Discovery continued them and reset them to I think Enterprise style, where they're actually just the date, which is a justifiable retcon. I mean, it's useful if confusing to other ones, but you could see them doing that for post Picard, and then you get a sense of time. And in watching The Witcher, I wish they gave us a sense of time because having things all out of order is a little bit confusing because they don't tell you any of that. You have to learn it when bad things happen. It's like, but that person wasn't. Oh!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peter Maluish,
Yeah.
£5.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi all, Picard, Raffi, and Rios all on a redemption arc for their past reasons. Jurati was innocent, then not in control due to and making up for it now. I don't think you can make somebody commit murder, but with a mind meld. You can give them a reason, show them something that will, if you don't do this, this is going to be the result, maybe.
Oh, I see.
But I don't think it's it's not like it's not like it's between first degree murder, manslaughter, second degree murder, or whatever. There's all different categories. I think that's somewhere up in the first degree murder area still. It's not like
that's the distinction.
that's not like vehicular. It's not like vehicular homicide. Like if you kill somebody with your car and you didn't mean to, you can still go to jail for that. But you didn't mean to do it.
Yeah. My brakes didn't work. It was too wet on the road. I didn't stop and I hit them. Oh dear. But it's not the same as deliberately, whatever. But I think we got the clarification that we were hoping for, where it was intentional. The mind meld. You almost wish you see part 3 of the scene, post mind meld, or even a communique of Jurati calling O in the middle. Like it flashes back to episode 5, I guess, and she's saying, "Status, we just picked up this kid called Elnor. I'm here, and I've heard Matt's on Free Cloud. You know what you have to do, Doctor. I don't want to. I mean, the decision has to be.
If you don't do it, we'll kill your dog and your sister and."
But that's the interesting thing. The Jurati chose to do it. It was her she was convinced to it. She was convinced by what she saw to believe it was the right thing to do, rather than it was coerced. And that makes Jurati more interesting, but also flat, because now she's done that. But also that character hasn't got much place to go. Neither has Elnor, really.
I don't think so.
But the fact, as we both agreed, the again, the Exo's name, Raffi, there we go. She has got interesting now because she's not a drug addict and it's affecting her character anymore. Like, they've basically dropped all that stuff actively. She was still smoking, but it wasn't changing her acting. when she's a good character, she's just being a good person. That's the best of her, and hopefully they'll progress into more of that, and it'll improve further.
Yeah. Judge 1981, $10. Odd
Oh, thank you.
question. Do you think that in Picard, that the writers are trying to pull a Battlestar Galactica, as in they want a gritty, more dirty take on everything?
Yeah.
I would agree. I would say yes. The modern vernacular, the way it's just, yeah, it's to make it feel more visceral, I think, and whether they succeeded or not, I don't know. But
yeah, they want
I think they're going for something.
Yeah, Battlestar Galactica. I mean, Battlestar Galactica is a unique entity, I think, in that it's a tremendously good reboot. That then, as it got more popular, it actively added back in things from the original with a incredibly cleverly done coat of fresh paint, but the right people were in charge of that, and gave some truly amazing things. But as a format, it's a show that you can kind of sense they didn't know where they were going while they were going there. Because it does kind of all go a bit weird.
Much like the people on the Battlestar Galactica. They knew where they were going, but they didn't know how they were going to get there.
Yeah. It's like, and I don't want to give too many spoilers, but I love the fact they didn't even know who the final five were. When they wrote that. They had to then decide after the fact, how does this make sense? And coincidentally, they all happened to work beautifully. And they told all the actors who had died, like, you're coming back. Oh, really? As a Cylon. What? I was never, you know what I mean. So some of that can be good fluke stuff. But in terms of a format of good storytelling, it's a good thing to base on. But it's such dystopian. It's real people dealing with a sci-fi situation. Star Trek is not real people. It's future people in a world where we don't need these things. It's a better us. It's one of the few things that we can look forward and say, the human race survived Corona, survived global warming, survived Greta Thunberg, survived, the air wars of Skynet. We got past all that stuff, and we got to this good place. Still some bad things happen, but we got to the good place where the majority of things worked out.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
At least it was.
Yeah, it's a different universe. At least it was. Yeah, perfect.
And that's why Orville is certainly scratching that certain itch, because people are happy there. I can imagine that you might, if Picard was to delve into the realms of more ship-based stuff, like conventional stuff, that you'd start getting things of them bitching about even having a job, like, ugh, I don't want to be here on this damn ship. Like, it's like, but all the work they did to get here, it's a good thing to be Starfleet. Don't detract that and make it a, you know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised they even went that far on certain things.
Well, Tab Extra puts in 20. Yeah. Do we know what that was a normal mind meld? We do not.
No.
It was the two-handed approach, so I don't know. And somebody else said, was it a Romulan mind meld? And again, we don't know. Don't know if there will be answers for that, but.
And again, how much of it's going to be a multi-season arc? I mean, will we reveal that O's in fact one of the good guys? I mean, this is the exciting bit of the season, though. I think it's fair to say, Stuart, where everyone's together now. Seven's back, and she's all been established. There's going to be a lot of Borg stuff. There's going to be a lot of good stuff, theoretically. All of the cards now on the show's part to bring it together. This is where they can make the season a lot better. If they're revealed where it's like, oh my god, really? And wow, that's so cool. Or, oh, really? And,
Chris Momberger puts in $17.01. Very clever.
Yeah.
Do you miss individual episodes of Trek, a news story week to week? 100% yes. I think it builds a bigger world. It builds characters a lot better to do that. And again, having 26 episodes a season instead of 10 episodes telling one story, I know which format I'd rather watch. Absolutely.
And obviously, the quick counter to the apologists is, yeah, but that's the olden days, Stuart. You can't be doing that anymore. TV has moved on. Would be the instant, your entire opinion is invalid because of that.
Mm-hmm. And my response would be bullshit. Go F yourself. I mean, what it worked in the past, obviously, got a lot of fans, so I don't know why it's not something that can be done now, if it's obviously something that people enjoy. So, yeah, just do it. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the story. The fact that the Riker one and the Seven one, for me, are the best two, shows a focused single episode story within a larger arc, works fine. Yes, I do think that stories are better with a longer arc, because then you get to have these great moments where two characters get to walk off into the side and then call somebody and then have a conversation about this greater thing, and then you have reveals and twists. Because if you have episode by episode twists, they're not the same twists. But if you write a season with everything clever in mind, it adds something. It really, really does. And if you're very clever, especially for like a 4-season arc, so I think there's a show that was done that was meant to be like only 4 seasons or whatever. They chose to end on a high note, and it's like, wow, that was the 4. Damn, I can't remember which one it was. But episodic is just the focus point. That's all episodic really means to nowadays. I think is like, right, in this episode is going to be about Picard getting Elnor. That's the point of this episode. So therefore, you have a goal. You achieve the goal. That's the point of the episode.
And you feel better at the end of the episode because something's been accomplished.
Yeah, and there's a distinct progression in the plot, but you need to have a really good episode and grand story. Otherwise, you then get weak ones.
See, I don't have a problem with serialized storytelling, much like Stranger Things or whatever, when they release them all at the same time. So you can just sit there and binge watch it. You can choose when to end, when to take a break. This serialized storytelling where it's drip fed week to week, it's like, no, just I want to know what happens next. So I really prefer the episodic feel. And season 2 of Discovery kind of did that. They bookended their episodes with the main plot, but then had an episode in the middle, which was great. And a lot of it was done in Enterprise, where there's overarching things going on, but then there's self-contained episodes as well. Like, it can be done in a good format, and still have the feel of an episode.
One show I'm watching now is The Witcher. I mentioned it earlier, and those episodes are literally 60 to 69 minutes or 70 minutes. They're very long, and they feel long in a good way. Each episode actually does have a contained full story, but boy, they're so interconnected. You can't really watch them out of sequence. You can't really watch them and skip one, but you can also just enjoy one by itself. Genuinely, just enjoy one.
That show needs re-editing to be chronologically precise.
It would lose the power, though. It's like, have you seen the film Memento? Christopher Nolan.
I have not.
The film is literally backwards, whereas it has two different versions of the character traveling at different, like, alternate it's both backwards and forwards at the same time. One's in color, one's in black and white, and when it meets, that's when the story really gets and that's genius. Like, it's so clever, but you don't know exactly how it's formatted. It doesn't make sense at the start, and you build into it, But it wouldn't work chronological because it's just a basic story. Why couldn't you have? It's not Pitch Perfect, obviously. Pulp Fiction. If you just played one, that also wouldn't work in chronological order. It'd be too intercutty. You need the sub stories. You need to build in a certain way. Narratives can be built that way. But that's why some things. There's another show that was re-edited to be in order, and it's like, oh, you learned something new, because your drip-fed bits. So like Arrow, the flashbacks to the island take place over 7 years, and they're in the season. So if you did them as a continuous story, you'd have like 10 hours of flashbacks. Then the season starts, but you've already learned all about his character first. Like, you could do that. It'd be interesting. That'd be an interesting experiment, actually, to watch it in that way. But things like The Witcher, it's kind of fun to have that alternate style.
Yeah, the abandoned island that's not abandoned because there's a bunch of people.
Oh yeah, not remotely abandoned. Yeah.
Tab extra. What's in 50 of the Corona?
Oh, thank you.
In this new anti-synthetic storyline, what happens to the Doctor? We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
We're not sure if he's considered a synthetic or not. We actually have a whole video on that, talking about that. So, and I think there's rumors that he might be in season 2, which seem pretty valid rumors, but we're not going to say this for a fact. But it'd be interesting to find out for sure, because he was kind of granted his rights as far as publishing a book goes, I guess. So that's a step towards, I don't know. Good question. I wish we knew.
Mm.
So, tuning 3434, €5.
There you go.
Stargate SG-1 did very well, meshing arc with episodes, in my opinion. It can be done so well and still be dramatic and fun at times. I would agree.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, Stargate didn't have arcs it had some, but it wasn't primarily. It was primarily an episodic with. It was funny. I remember watching some of it live, and it was more a case. It was episodic, but you're like, "Ooh, this is like a 7-episode story. Oh, that's so cool!" Like it was a when it became episodic it became serialized for a bit. It was like a bonus. Oh my god, we're getting more to the Apophis storyline. That's so cool. It wasn't like, here is 7 years of Apophis. We have to build this arc. It was, we're going to bring him back for another extension to the story. That's so cool. Obviously until the Ori, but those become extended seasons, and some extent with Anubis. But it was that was a really interesting mix actually, because it's still episodic, but it's like you don't know where it's going to go, but also not everything's about it. Yeah, tricky. But it can easily be done. We know it can easily be done, and it's really hard to know if your show is going to work until actually filming it and making it, because you can't really know until the result. You know?
Yeah. I was going to say something, but I can't remember what it was.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. What were we talking about specifically? Story arcs and episodic and I can't remember. God damn it. Oh well. Happens sometimes. I'm getting old, you know. But yeah, I can't see this crew sticking together for season 2. There's going to be something interesting that has to happen. So, or it's just a continuation of the story.
Well, that's the thing.
All the adventures of Picard off Earth. It's like, well,
I mean,
that's what it seems like.
Over half the episodes are like 40 minutes, and so if it's a 3-season arc, 30 episodes. Well, TNG was like 26 at one point, or 24. I mean, it's not much more than just a normal season that he did, 20 years ago. So I can see them almost just doing like the kind of one full season of TV, and that's their 3-year arc. It's just one big season. Although I'm very glad that these episodes are now longer. I really hope this next one is 60 minutes, because boy, it makes a damn difference. It really
It absolutely does.
Yep. That, and in fact, weirdly enough, the slow pace feels more justified on a longer episode. Even though you'd think if it's too slow, you wouldn't enjoy more of too slow. But it's because you can balance the slow with story, with you have more story to tell. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's why I think at the end of the longer episodes too, like the longer episodes have felt more like you just watched a Star Trek episode. Awesome. Because I guess the pacing is more conducive to what we've seen.
And we know that Chabon took over at a certain point, so I can imagine that maybe he, because the first few are so distinctly 40 minutes, and it's really strange, especially in the modern era. And now they're kind of moving all over the place, so maybe that's when he started saying, no, I want to, we have more to tell. Especially, like I say, if they rewrote the episode to bring in Frakes and such, I can imagine they might have really shifted the end of the season to be more what he wanted, and therefore they said, well, let's make him longer. Because it's pretty random to do, go from like 45 consistently to then suddenly 56. It's like, that's a,
Yeah. Don't see how anyone could watch a one-off Picard episode. I know, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem.
And it's definitely not a kids' show.
That's what I was going to say when we were talking about episodic. Sorry. Every now and then it's nice to just lighten the mood. If you have a really couple, like 2-parter that's really deep episodes, and then you kind of get a lighter one that's more fun. It's nice to have that break every once in a while, and that's what a lot of shows do. And even some show formats works really well, like Xena, where they had like a musical episode, or they had one where they travel to the modern day, and it's just kind of a funny episode, Those episodes are great in shows that have 20 some odd episodes per season, because it gives you a break. I don't know. I don't always want to have such oppressive watching on my shoulders. Like who's going to die this episode? Oh joy.
was gonna say,
I mean, and Free Cloud kind of did that a little bit,
but also
but
had horrible murder. I mean, it was both at the same
it
time.
started out with that. Well, but it was bookended with murder.
Yes.
Started out with Icheb and then Bajazel. So
Forever the murder episode.
uh-huh. And Eugene, 500 rubles.
Thank you.
Speaking of stardates, recently I found a shot of La Sirena in a user interface when Rafi found her son, Gabriel Huang, and he was 5'9", 168 pounds. Even Discovery didn't fail in using correct units metric.
But 5'9" is the correct metric. Because you measure yourself, are you 6 foot or not? I mean, you wouldn't go by meters. What does 1.8 meters? Doesn't sound impressive. But 6 foot. We're a 6'3" athlete.
But it is in Canada on our driver's licenses. It's a metric. It's in centimeters and stuff. So metric's the way to go.
Weird.
Tab Extra says, would TNG be better if they made it today? I mean, if they made it exactly the same, but with modern technology, yes. But that's a question that can't be answered, I'm afraid.
Well, visually, yes. Although the miniatures, you have to make a certain brightness level to make them look good. Whereas the CGI, they like to go dark. And, I mean, doesn't look good a lot of the time, especially Discovery Season 1 especially. I think they would assume that audiences didn't have the attention span for the nice slow episodes that are really good. And obviously the money would be spent differently, so then they would spend more on VFX to make like 3 CG characters for some reason, or all the displays be real, and the budget of that would lose them an episode in the long run. So they'd cut down from 23 good stories to like 15, more expensive, and you'd be like, where did the money go? Oh, and the stuff no one really cares about. So if they had the same mentality to making it, but with modern things, possibly, but I think the world's changed too much. I mean, there's a reason why some of the best films, like Terminator 2, right? Terminator 2 could be made better now. You know, you look at the T-1000 in Genesis, and theoretically he looks better because he's made with a billion more polygons, blah, blah, blah. But the clean simplicity of how they did the T-1000 in the first one, T2, looks better in some shots because of it was like cutting edge and it was so precise, and the fact that the Terminator 2 is a tremendous achievement of practical CG and trickery all put together, which now, I don't know if you knew this, but I didn't realize until recently, that the car chase with the T-1000 in the truck of liquid nitrogen, going to the factory at the end, that chase, right? Every time you see Arnold on the car, it's actually him with rear screen projection of the scene. That's basically green screen for green screen. But because it was filmed in a limited way, but real way, it looks more real. I didn't ever know that. Whereas green screen looked like green screen.
I'm going to cut you off right there because
sure.
I'm going to cut you off right there because Tab actually just put a super chat in. Was not thinking about the effects, but the way the stories are told. So, there's 2 other super chats too that we got to get to, but just saying. Eugene puts in 250 rubles. Wasn't Star Trek always metric though? Yes. And then the odd time it wouldn't be. Either in the same episode, they didn't fudge it sometimes. And then Judge 1981, $5. Odd question again. Commander, what story do you, in your own opinion, is Picard trying to tell? What story do you think, in your own opinion, is Picard trying to tell?
Well, we can't know. There's too many threads. It's so unfocused. I don't think anyone could tell right now. And that's not a good answer, I know, but it's so unfocused. If it was just the story,
it is a good answer though, because you're right.
You kind of think it's the story of Picard of Picard helping Data's daughter, but look how much fluff around that exists.
Yeah, so I don't know. TNG did a Robin Hood episode. Yes, they did. It was fine.
It's good. Some bits better than others.
I did a James Bond episode. Yeah. That's what Picard needs is a Dixon Hill episode.
I don't know. Honestly, I think the ideas we had before the show came out were better. Picard as an ambassador, as an academy teacher, being called for one last mission. I mean, these come in much more interesting.
Mm-hmm. Give us what we want to see, Starfleet.
Well, yeah. Yeah. No, like I said before, I'm tempted to do a re-edit of at least part of the season. I think the season, I think with Chabon's changes, the season is more cohesive the longer it goes. So I would, if I'm re-editing the entire season, I would do less and less changes as I go on. Like the Riker episode, I'm not sure what I'd change in that one except redo some CGI. Like it's pretty good. Like, you know what I mean? There's not a lot to change really, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas the first 5, there's a lot to change, especially the first 3 because it was padded as hell. But just change the letter range to look more like a Starfleet or at least Federation ship would be a big improvement.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Will the lost Sirena crew side with Soji or Jurati if Jurati tells them she's the destroyer? Probably Soji, because the destroyer thing just sounds stupid. What's your proof? Well, I got mine melded, and I saw things that would make you turn right. Yeah, I don't know. That's hard to say, but I don't think this crew's going to be together for season 2. I think it's going to be a shift, some kind of change.
Yeah, I can imagine that the destroyer subplot is the real plot, and that'll be a lot in season 2. Season 1 is actually getting them together. Season 2 will be actually that episode.
Maybe. I like that.
Yeah.
I kind of be disappointed though. I think I feel unsatisfied at the end of the season. You don't want to feel unsatisfied at the end of a season necessarily. But I mean, they did it with season 3 of TNG. Fire.
Well,
shit.
I would call that tease rather unsatisfying.
I guess.
But there's so many threads though. How many threads do they have to close before it becomes satisfying? If you know what I mean. Like there's so much to do.
I know.
How many is minimum? How many is more?
I'm just glad that Picard and Soji are finally on screen together. Finally.
Yes, that's gonna be. It's the most interesting stuff will be now, potentially. And then also they have the easiest way of dropping because now they've got this potential. I don't think they're actually gonna realise it. Yeah. But I think we are about done, guys. Who wants to be the final super chat or final question? And then tomorrow is one of the exciting ones. That's our
prediction video.
Yes.
Be here. Be square. 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. in the UK, because you guys haven't cleared your clocks ahead yet. For another 2 weeks, I think. So, just so you guys know.
So it's nice. I get more
Judge,
time
1981. Yeah. Judge, 1981, $5. Captain, how would you rate the members of Picard's crew if you did an evaluation? Like, evaluate them for what?
Anything, everything, all of it.
Different scale.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as Starfleet officers go,
I think just in general,
Rios is
general people.
Rios is great. I love Rios. I'm not going to give a number, but I think he's competent. He's clever. He's a good captain.
Although he thinks very two-dimensionally because he doesn't understand about force fields and going up, but that's okay.
No, yeah. Raffi's a bit of an idiot. I just wish she'd get her shit together and be a character that we could actually care about. Would be nice.
She got closer this episode than any other episode. This last episode.
Yeah, this one I liked her. Absolutely. I 100% agree. But we need more of that because I don't really care about her or what happens to her. So Jurati is kind of all over the board, and that's part of her character arc. So, I mean, that's fine. But she started out being nice and innocent. But, yeah, she's everywhere now. She's like a seductress. She's like a murderer.
And put this way,
there's so many categories.
You wouldn't bat an eyelid if she left and wasn't back for season 2.
Exactly.
And then Elnor, the crew member that isn't on this picture but is truly essential for the show.
Again, I love his nativity. I can't even say the word. I love how naive he is. I think it's great. The fact he was raised by the nuns to be one of these warriors that he couldn't really be because he wasn't a female. It's interesting, and the fact he's now thrust out into this universe where everything is interesting. Everybody lies. There's subterfuge everywhere, and he's used to absolute candor. That's how he was raised. So he's a fish out of water for sure. And I think, as far as his character goes, is interesting. That I mean, as an elf, he would score really high. But as far as a member of like a Romulan, he just I never get that feeling when I see him ever. Unfortunately, he doesn't say Romulan to me. Unfortunately, so I mean, he's fun. He's good. He's got a lot of room for improvement and growth. So I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. But I enjoy watching his progression so far, and it would be quite annoying if he died.
I mean, he's been given so few minutes of anything.
He has. He has.
And he's a pretty decent, you know, comedic characters. But yeah, will we see Whoopi Goldberg in season 2? Yes, already confirmed. Guinan is back.
Yes,
good.
That'll be good.
Pretty interesting. But yeah.
Well, how big a part? Yeah, will she just be somebody he talks to in one episode, or is she going to be in multiple episodes?
I mean, hey, Stuart, it could be revealed that he's been in the Nexus the entire time, and it's just Nexus Guinan saying, "Oi, Jean-Luc, Guinan,
found
hello."
a way.
And he comes back and is like,
find
wow.
a way to actually get you out of here. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it cuts back to Generations, like, oh shit, that's how Kirk comes back. But the Nexus made him look 50 years older. How old? That'd be kind of interesting though. Star Trek Picard, Generations 2, the show.
Yeah.
They're gonna pad one movie sequel as a sequel of a sequel into a TV show episode season. Brilliant.
It would be better. Maybe.
Let's not be that. Let's not say that, Stu. Let's not put a hat in that ring. But yes, guys, tune in tomorrow for our full predictions. We look forward to that. There's some interesting images we're trying to keep avoiding talking about because they're so interesting, and we're not doing all the same topics again. And check out our next video tomorrow as well. Do go back and watch today's video, which was a really interesting one actually. Just to pimp our ride, as it were. It was called Romulan Synths Are the Origin of the Borg. And we've avoided even making this comparison in any video until this. And it wasn't the point of the video until we realized, oh my god, it's the point of the video. And so do go back and watch that because it became something really interesting. So yeah, do go have a look.
Yes. And yeah, well, we'll pimp the rest of the week tomorrow. But yeah, tomorrow, prediction video. Be here. Should be fun.
Sounds good. So until next time, guys, he's Captain Foley.
I am, and he's Commander Cockings.
See you tomorrow. Bye, guys.